Right.
Well, and I use this illustration too, and I'm gonna have to speak through here. I want to say a couple things. Not every man is called to go down into the well, but we're called to hold the rope for the man that's going down into the well.
I agree with that.
We may not be on the front line, but we're called to be a part of that work
Amen.
some way, somehow. And also, why do we try to be diligent about the way we treat our bodies? Well, because we want to have the strength to do what we need. That's the same with the word. A strong church inwardly will be effective in what it does outwardly.
Yes.
But going back to this real quick, we have the resources of the West Virginia State Missions, and now I know we as a state we support more than just kind of in-house state stuff, but we support foreign missions. But we have a board that helps and direct, and it helps to bring awareness out, and they're there to kind of guide us and help us as we begin to venture out and try to get this work started. So within our framework in our denomination, we do have a state level that can help us even within the state. Not only that, but we have a Samaria, which I guess most of you know before it's Home Missions, which now is North American Ministries, and that provides basically a lot of church plants for our country. You know, for those that are going out to different states and areas. I met a guy, his name's Steve Smith, and his wife and 2 kids. They're going out to Albuquerque, New Mexico to start a church, a place that desperately needs the gospel preached to them. And it's not an easy place like Morgantown, West Virginia. It's going to be challenging in many different ways. So we have that vision of going out, even out to our country, and then we have through international missions, which we have to help us to go farther than our country, and that's into other countries to be able to preach the gospel.
But also in North American Ministries, because North American Ministries goes to Canada, Mexico, and the islands.
Well, if you look at all these from local to state to country to around the world, they all are kind of intertwined a little bit. I mean, because I know as a state we're supporting, even foreign missionaries too, which when you guys left the field, that kind of left the void of that when we picked up, and I put these 2 on top. And I don't know if many of you know it, but I believe it's the postal weights and the altaries that we have serving in Bulgaria, and that's what our state right now is being responsible in helping support these guys in their work as they're preaching the
some
gospel.
also have taken on the Trifonots.
Yeah.
They are a Bulgarian couple who are doing a tremendous work.
And the Provos now
And
too.
the Provos are there too.
Now I want to get to the place that, like you talk about, a lot of people don't want to hear about. We live in a very self-driven society, very selfish. We think about our desires, our own pleasures, our own leisure, our entertainment. So our money is very fixed where we want it to be. That's not according to the scripture. That's not how we ought to use our resources. With that being said, our state every year, March for Missions, probably most of you are familiar with it. March for Missions, we have an offering once a year in March that will go directly to what the mission board is working on, and we'll go out to the missionaries and the things that are necessary for them to administer and do all those things. November, I got some of these. Brother Brad Ransom from North American Ministry sent me. It's flowers if you want to take them and put it in your church. They do an offering once a year for North American Ministry.
They send out a mailing every year of that.
That's November 18th. And International Missions does theirs the last Sunday of April of every year.
Yeah, they send out mailers for that too.
And then on top of that, we have our money fixed in for our local calls for missions work, and we can go out as far as evangelism and things like that. Now, so we get to the money part, and these are ways, this is the direction that God's given us to serve this mission work. But as a church, as our brother said, financially, we have to be a part of that. I've talked to people, and I've heard different things that different people have done. One man told me back 20-some years ago, the Lord laid upon his heart, and he was obedient to it, that he was going to give 10% of everything that the church brought in every month, and that was going to go directly towards missions work, whatever that took. Some churches, they may take up an offering every month for missions. I've had a lady down in North Carolina. She's my cousin, and her husband is the pastor. She got a hold of them and said, "Hey, I've got a juniors class down here. They know about your missions work." See, they're already committed in other missions area, but they said, "We have missions work." She knew me, family. She brought us in, and the juniors, what they decided to do, they brought in their change. They brought things so they can be a part of missions, so they can see how it works. And so, do you know what I did when she told me that? I wrote them a letter directly to the juniors class so they know that I understand that they're helping out and being a part of that. And so that contact with these people, because you realize in missions work, and this is where we get it wrong, it's not my mission work.
No,
It's our mission work. I may be on the front line, but we're working together. And to get the people we need where we need to get, it takes money to do that. And so you can do that. And what I challenge you to, it's the death of me, and it has been since I've started missions work, okay? I'll go into a church, bulletins are good. They're very good, don't get me wrong. But you tag that thing on a bulletin, and probably 75% of the people that go past it will never read it. Don't know nothing about it.
That's right.
If we take on our identity and we realize the spirit of the missions that we need to carry from home all the way out, I think this is a good practice that we have. The missions that we get involved in, we ought to dedicate a specific time, a specific maybe service in dedicating our attention and focus on this missions work, who we're supporting, what their needs are. I send out newsletters and try to do it faithfully every month. Even as the pastor would take that and read it before the congregation, as Brother Ricky said, if the pastor usually not behind something, you can forget about it.
That's right.
To take it, and if your church is supporting something, or they want to support something, don't pin it away. It's like our paychecks. They take taxes of it, we just think it's a thing. We don't even consider that money anywhere, where it goes, and we're so passive about how it's being spent because we're not part of it. And that's how we can become as church when we support missions. It's passive. Well, that's some missionaries we're supporting over there in Bulgaria or over there in Africa, there's no connection. They don't feel that it's their responsibility. So when you take that and you read that and you pray for this family as a church, and then you begin to let the Spirit of the Lord move, you become a part of that work.
Amen.
And people feel more inclined to give to that work. And so there's different ways that you can do taking up offering. You can take up offerings once a year. And that seems like that's all the church asks, right? Taking up offerings for this, offering for that. Friends, as a Christian people, if we've been in church any amount of time, there's one thing we ought to learn. You ought to be willing and ready to give. Willing. Not just ready to give, but willing.
Amen.
It's better to receive than give it. I remember that message, don't you?
In all honesty, if the willingness is not there, y'all just keep it.
Got
Just
a
keep
question.
it.
What's missing on that?
Oh,
Well, anybody, what's missing on that?
what?
I've set you up now, Brother Nathan. No, you got Judea.
A thousand things missing.
You got Judea, you got Samaria, you got other parts of the world. But Jerusalem, see, these are all accountable. You're accountable. You're accountable to that board. You're accountable to North American Missions. You're accountable. What our churches is filling in is accountability for the local church. A structured something where people are going out visiting, where it's structured. And you've got accountability. Are we reaching people in our area? It's just saying, everybody, you go out and let your light shine, and that's it. But
The reason why, and I'll give you the explanation between that, is because we all should know where our Jerusalem is. That helps. That's not meant for accountability.
I'm plugging something here,
Yeah.
Nathan.
Okay, go ahead. Plug away.
I'm plugging search and rescue. That's the local. If you don't get that, if you don't start there, these ain't never gonna be supported.
That's
Yeah.
right.
If that don't start,
That's right.
and in Jerusalem, you said it.
Yeah.
If you don't start from your doorstep, these right here are not gonna be supported. We gotta get back to the local churches, what everybody's talking about, what Brother Scotty's saying. I gotta get back to this. We gotta get our local churches minded to go out, get them that mindset.
That's what I'm saying, we're not teaching our people.
But I'm telling you, all of us ought to be focused, we're working together.
I like what Adam said, it ain't one size fit all.
No.
You've got several problems. You got, if you lost, use your GPS, God's Running for Salvation. That's just another resource,
That's
for
it.
visitation and getting
That's it.
cheaper to work.
That's it.
And that's what we gotta do,
But
is keep our
churches better implement something like that.
Need to
Local
have it
churches
out.
better implement something
Got
to
to
get
get
out.
something.
Whether it's preachers and I were handing out flyers for the revival, and this lady said, well, don't people realize they need to go to church? Why you have to hand them out for?
Brother Maitland, I would like to re-emphasize one thing that you pointed up, and that is the purpose statement. The local church, the local conferences, and to a point, even our state association is not conscious of the real purpose statement that we exist for.
Yeah.
It may be in the Constitution. In a lot of cases I've experienced, it's not in there. They don't know what it is or why it should be there. But who are we? Why do we exist? And I tried to bring that up in the Beckley conference, and boy, did I ever get myself in trouble.
Yeah.
They think they exist for the wrong purpose. And they did not like what I had to say.
Well, it's,
You know, WAC has a very firm, precise purpose statement, and that's what gives us direction.
Exactly.
if you have no purpose, you don't know why you exist.
We know why we exist, and like my brother Jim, we recently redid the bylaws and constitution of the local church where I'm a member, and I became like somebody from Mars when I wanted to do a purpose statement.
Been there, done that.
Well, I got one in the district auxiliary. They did not have a purpose statement. And we redid our constitution. It hadn't been revised since '89. And it says now what our purpose is.
But that needs to be re-emphasized ever so often in these local meetings. We exist for this purpose.
Yeah, it's,
I like the Bradley Church. They have all that AV system up on the wall. And first thing up, their purpose statement. We exist for this purpose.
yeah. You have to have that. So let me read this and we'll close out here with prayer. Because I just want to reiterate this here, okay? A church without a vision is a church that doesn't understand the will of God. A church without a vision is a church without a purpose, means you don't understand why you even exist. And there's individual people in this life, they still don't understand why they're put on earth. They don't know why they're here. And when you cease to have a purpose, you cease to have no work. And then the church becomes idle. Okay, when a church becomes idle, it's going into ruins, and that's what we're doing. So let's do this, okay? I challenge you to do this today. Let's not be politicians. Let's be Christians, okay? Let's not talk about it. Let's be committed on how we're going to accomplish the mission work that Christ has set before us. Anybody else? I believe that brings us right about lunchtime.
Good presentation, brother. I appreciate it.
You guys made it easy on me. Hey, Brother Scott.
We all agree wholeheartedly.
You want to dismiss?
Father God, as we come before your throne once again